Episode 135, Black Guy Fawkes. Black Guy Fawkes is a musician. I first came across him when I saw a video of him covering an Against Me song. I became an instant fan. Aside from the great music, his story is one of the importance and challenge of finding your community amidst these difficult times. Said challenge is not a destination. It's a journey, one that we're all still on. Please welcome to the show, Black Guy Fawkes. What's up, everybody? Got some tour dates coming up. So my new stand-up show, Anti-Fascist Pasta Night, is happening now. I'm really excited about it. It is the stand-up hour I'm most excited about so far in my life. And the next show is virtual, April 18th on Zoom. That's part of a virtual arts festival. You can find information at my website, romplacone.com. It's April 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And it's on Zoom, so wherever you live, you can attend. May 16th, Los Angeles, California. June 5th, New York City. And then August 6th through 30th, I will be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Tickets and all information at romplacone.com. And, of course, Left at Wall is out now. Have you watched Left at Wall yet? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's a fun anti-capitalist comedy about family that gives a nod to the GameStop incident and calls out the Wall Street machine. It's a fun time. Check it out. It's on a bunch of different platforms, but I recommend Tubi because on Tubi, it is free. So Left at Wall, out now. You can get it basically a bunch of places where you get your movies. You can get it there, but I recommend Tubi. All right. Enjoy today's episode. Peace. Ian, also known as Black Guy Fawkes. How are you? Good to meet you.
Good to meet you, too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I like to start at the beginning with these. So before we get up to your music and everything you got going on, what's your origin story? Where are you from? How did you discover music at first? Kind of give me a snapshot.
I discovered... So I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm born and raised there. I've always been drawn to music ever since I was young. My mom, she'll always have Tupac, Beatles, Queen, Lauryn Hill, all the stuff in the car while I was taking me to school, alongside having me just guess what instruments I hear in each recording. So I always loved that. I started. I didn't feel like I found a musical identity probably until middle school. I was really big. I went to a Catholic school, 7 years from middle school up to high school. And that first 2 years of middle school, I'm I don't know if I fit in because I just came from public school. And I remember I was just sitting in the living room one day, and I had on MTV, and I saw a video for My Chemical Romance, I'm Not Okay. And for some reason, that just automatically just clicked with me. Because it was just them in a private school, basically, just not knowing if they fit in or not. That resonated with me. And then I discovered Green Day, right after that, which were the biggest influence on me. And then a year later, I just started picking up a guitar and just wanted to play just because I wanted to try it out. And I just kind of kept with it since. And from then, I got really big into that whole, Warped Tour, emo, pop-punk scene. So I was really big into those bands, but also, Fall Out Boy, All Time Low, Mayday Prayer, all these different acts, too. And then when I hit college, I still wanted to do music. Music has always been a really big active part of my life, but I also couldn't find anybody to play with, so I told myself, maybe it's time to move on and just leave music in the background. But then in college, my friend got me into Frank Turner, who I'd never heard of before at the time. And that September, literally 14 years ago, we went to Ramsey Live in Baltimore, and I saw Frank, Larry and the Flask, and Jenny on Young, and something dawned on me. I feel like I got out of pop punk because it was just too angsty, and I wasn't relating to it at the time. But then when I heard Frank, I heard Love Iron song. My friend gave me that record. It was something very raw, but also shows you can still be punk without without having an electric guitar. You can still use an acoustic and still convey a message. So, and after that show, and after discovering him, I'm like, this is what I want to do. This I want to be. So through him, I discovered this whole genre. So through him, I discovered like hot water music and Chuck Reagan. I discovered Beans on Toast, who he had on the show. I discovered Dave Haas and so many others that I've now gotten a chance to work with recently. And yeah, that's pretty much my background. And I started Black Guy Fawkes 11 years ago, around September. I had a college project called Dime Store Poets, and then that broke up, and it left me feeling weird. And so I just said, you know what, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. And a few months later, I just started like just writing a lot more and just got more into creating this persona of Black Guy Fawkes.
So I'll kind of back up and fill in some gaps here a little bit. Why? And this is coming from a fellow Catholic school dweller. Why did you feel like you didn't fit in?
A lot of it. It was just bullying, basically, and it was a little bit of that, but it was also the school I went to. It was like pre-K through 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went there after finishing up elementary school at a different public school, I didn't know anybody, so I just kind of felt like the odd one out. Everybody already had these existing relationships and all these stories and memories together, but I'm just the one that's just kind of there getting to know everybody. I didn't know how to fit in, and I I feel like my life was a little bit sheltered to an extent. Like I didn't really have any like childhood friends growing up, neighborhood friends. It was always just kind of me in the house and the TV. So I didn't really have that exposure. So I just kind of felt weird.
So then, where did you go to college at?
I went to college at Potomac State College. It's a college in West Virginia, in Kaiser, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I was going there to study. I was going there to study business administration,
Mm-hmm.
and fortunately, I didn't finish out college, unfortunately. But through college and through staying there, and I was a shitty student as well. Like I really didn't go to class. I just wanted to fucking play guitar and hang out with people, and I so that did mess me up, but through college, I kind of discovered more of my musical identity. I discovered like more artists I want to listen to, more artists I want to kind of emulate to an extent, and trying to figure out like who exactly I am.
Was there like a campus radio scene or anything like that, or was all that kind of?
There wasn't really no like there are students that had guitars on campus. I was just kind of jam with them, but nobody was really taking it as seriously as I wanted to. For them, it's more hobby. For me, I want to make something out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also a thing where kids would go to the college for maybe like 2 years or so. Then they would transfer out to go to a better school of their choice. And for me, since I was there for a while, I saw a lot of my friends who I was playing with just kind of transfer to different places, and so it was hard just to find stability through that. So me me starting Black Guy Fawkes as a solo project kind of was trying to help me become more self-reliant. I guess I can, if I can't find anybody, I can still do it by myself at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, so when did you decide that you really wanted to, do this and make it a sustainable venture and not just a hobby?
If if we want to go far back, it was probably in middle school. I was no, not in high school because that middle school I dealt with a little bit of bullying. High school it was a whole different fucking animal. Honestly, like I was bullied a lot. I The first guitar my mom ever got me was stolen from somebody at at my high school, and it was I can't make this up. I was receiving prank phone calls from the person who stole it, saying if you don't give me $500 or whatever, I will destroy it, and you will never get it back. And I still never got it back to this day. I don't really care anymore about that at this point. But that's kind of level of stuff I was dealing with. And
So why were you getting bullied? What were they bullying you about?
yeah, I was still weird. I was a weird black kid at a Catholic school who listened to punk rock and listened to and got I was really big into emo music and just had weird TV references. And so I just got bullied quite a bit. And because I was very quiet and just never really spoke, people just saw me as just being creepy. And it really affected my mental health a good bit. I didn't really have that many friends in high school. It was predominantly kind of just me, and I would just glob on to whoever would be around at the time, or just show me any sort of laugh or whatever. But it was difficult. But through that, I would lock myself in my room and listen to like My Chemical Romance, and listen to Green Day, listen to any of these records that I found comforting, because that's how I got more in the subject matter of what they're actually singing about. And it wasn't until my mental health got really bad in like my sophomore year where I kind of said to myself, you know what, I want to write more music, and I want to write music with people who feel the way that I do. And I think it cemented in a career when I went to that first Frank show, because I found like this liberation, and I found this freedom in what he was doing. I just felt like at that show I was surrounded by so many like-minded people, and like friends, like some college friends alongside new friends I made in a crowd that night. So that Frank show was like the turning point of, you know what, I want to make this a living. I'm definitely going to try to push for this a lot more whilst in college as well.
So there weren't any other, not to backtrack too much here, but there weren't like any punk kids at your high school. You were the only one.
I mean, there were a couple, but we didn't really hang out that much, honestly. Like, we'll see each other in school, but we never had like a constant relationship. The only place I found kind of solitude going to was, there's a venue like right next to my high school, and I would go there every Friday, called Record Theater in Baltimore. And I saw so many bands play there, like local bands and ones that big name ones too. And I found somewhat refuge in there, but it was still full of, while while it had some like-minded punks, a lot of them were just cliquey, and I still kind of felt out of place when it came to that too.
Mm.
So it's always been difficult for me to it was always difficult for me to kind of find my tribe, and just find my people within the scene, or just within school or outside school or something else. Like, community has always been like a very big thing for me in regards to just my personal stuff, but also just for music in general. I want to make sure that with my stuff, I always make sure that everybody can feel included in some way, shape, or form, be it at shows or just like the subject matter.
So then when did that start kind of turning around for you? Like when did you kind of start to feel, like a community's building, just in your life and around Black Guy Fawkes? Like kind of walk me through some of that.
I feel like it started kind of at different stages. I when I first started this, like when I was still living in Kaiser, I then moved to Cumberland, Maryland. Um, and that's when I was like first starting off as Black Guy Fawkes, and I found first few years I found a few band members. My friend Corey Macrith, one of my best friends of all time, and who plays lead for me. He hit me up immediately and wanted to be part of this. And then later on, I found my friend Zach Dodge, and that's how I found my community forming. And then there's a producer and one of my close friends who's really responsible for how everything sounds in my records, named Derek Shank. Um, I made my first record. We hit it off. We played the show together in like Deep Creek Lake, Maryland, and immediately we hit it off, and we just talked about him recording me at some point. And as far as like full on community is concerned, I honestly did not feel like I found my tribe and my community until recently, until like maybe like 2023. Um, so just like a few years ago, I put out from 2021 to 22, I went through a really just I don't want to go into detail, but just a really dark period of my life, and it caused me to kind of look inward, and it caused me to kind of go back into therapy and take medication alongside get back into writing more meaningful stuff. And when I put out a record the year after that called Truth of Lullabies, and when that happened, I was hit up by my now manager and label head, Matt Flo of Asbestos Records, and he wanted me to put it out on vinyl. And then later, like literally a month or a few weeks after we had to talk about signing over to Asbestos, I got a email from Frank Turner telling me that he wanted me to play Lost Evenings. And after that moment, I just felt, and after playing Lost Evenings, just being in contact with him and meeting people that I discovered through him, I felt my community grow. And I continuously kind of feel that today. Because there have been times where I've been down on myself and I've been feeling just isolated, but I have people there that do check in on me and then make sure that I'm okay, or just reach out. And I do the same thing for them. So I don't really feel like I found my community until just recently, and I'm really thankful for it. So I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for that. It wasn't for 2023.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well, when you tour, do you always tour with a band, or do you tour solo some too, or is it only solo?
It's only solo. I bring the band out for regional one-off stuff. It's right now, since the price of a band is pretty high, and the music economy is just changing. I love my band, the Co-Conspirators, all to that. So it's me, Derek Shank, and Zach Dodge and Corey Macareth. But they work 9 to 5s, and two of them, and one of them just had a kid, while the other ones already have families. So I want to make sure that when I bring them out, it's worth it, and so that way they can still survive without them taking time off just to lose work.
Mm-hmm.
And but predominantly it's just me kind of doing solo stuff. The whole project was always, as like I said before, it's always been geared for if they can't make it, I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
So but that being said too, I always still make sure that when I can, I'll bring them on for I'll bring them on for a show. Like recently, we got to open up for Spin Doctors in in September, and we have feelings coming up. We're actually gonna be playing with Laura Jane Grace in April in Pittsburgh, so I was able to get them on for that. But I was trying to make sure that as much as I have some cool stuff going on, they're still involved too. I'll make sure that they're always known for their contributions to all this.
Were you still based in Maryland? Because I saw something. It seemed like you were based in New Jersey, or maybe it was just a show or something, and I got confused.
Oh no, yeah, I was just in Jersey. I was playing with Bouncing Souls in Jersey, but I yeah, I'm born and raised in Maryland.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so not too far away, and yeah, that I've been to Deep Creek once or twice, like growing up, and that's wild to hear that there's punk shows out there. I can't imagine, but that's really awesome. It's a beautiful place.
There's a venue there called Moonshadow, and they usually have like singer-songwriters or some events going on there. So I'll do like dinner crowd like type stuff. Majority of my of me starting out was me kind of just playing like um was me just been like did for dinner crowds or something like that, or bar crowds. So like 3 hour sets of some rituals, but also mostly just covers, just so I can like make rent money and all that.
So you would kind of do like just the like singer songwriter acoustic thing and play the covers, and then like kind of slip in the originals when you could, or
yeah. Basically, I would do stuff like that, and I know predominantly like when you're doing that stuff, you just background noise, but I still kind of use that just so I can kind of hone in on what I want to do at the time. Just try some different stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Do you still do those types of gigs, or are you able to kind of have those in the rearview mirror now?
They have thankfully been in the rearview mirror. Like so I around my area in Cumberland, Maryland, it's a small town, and I'll always help out with some community events if I can. And they had like a farmers market, and this happened like maybe like 3 years ago, and they asked me to come perform. Like I think 10 to 12. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. I was so used to playing half-hour gigs, well, half-hour sets at shows that
Yeah.
that doing that it just felt so weird. Like, all right, how much time I got left? Oh Jesus Christ! All right, so it was it was just knowing I spent like 5 years of my life doing that, then like spent a few years doing that of like actual shows, and then having to resort back to having to go back to that. I guess was a weird transition, but thankfully all that stuff's not thankfully. I'm thankful for everybody who's helped me practice and get to where I'm at, but. I'm glad I can leave that in the rearview mirror for a good bit, and things just kind of going smoothly for right now.
So, tell me the story behind the name Black Guy Fawkes.
So, I love this story so much. So when Dinosaur Poets broke up, I said I'll do this thing myself. So I'm sitting with my close friends, Jeremy Kaler. He was the handle like student activity events at my college. I'm sitting in this office, and we were talking about black anarchists one day, and I thought it would be funny if there was an anarchist called Black Guy Fawkes, and you couldn't, because of nameplate you couldn't tell what it was, and I thought it'd be funny that instead of like the Guy Fawkes face, it was just Spike Lee's face,
Mm-hmm.
and and he's like, that should be your pseudonym, just do that and make protest songs, and I went, I don't know, this sounds stupid. He just went, Ian, please do it, have fun with it. And you never know what will happen. I'm like, all right, I'll try it out. Then it's funny too because there are a lot of people, no, not a lot of people, but there are some people that told me how much they hated that name and they wanted me to change it because they thought it was stupid. But now but now just seeing me like 10 years later, and people connect with it or wear the shirts and everything like that. I'm really glad you stuck with it.
Well, it's definitely very memorable. I mean, I first found out about you because I actually you were covering an Against Me song. Like I saw a video where you covered an Against Me song, and then I saw, hey, he's called Black Guy Fawkes. I'm gonna check this guy out. And then I saw some of your just written posts where I'm like, well, this is right on. And then so I just started listening to your music. So yeah, it's so. Do you consider yourself an anarchist? And if so, what does that mean to you?
I mean, when it comes to political ideology and all that, I struggle with where I align because it is still just a vast spectrum. All I know is I'm not fucking anywhere near the right whatsoever. I'm fully left. But I I believe that we should self-govern, and because of what's going on right now in the U.S., I'm fully not for because now we're going back to internment camps and death camps. Now we're going back. Now we're seeing rights being taken away from literally anybody who's not cis white or male. And I, at the end of the day, I'm just for the people. At the end of the day, I believe in protecting my community, which is the punk community, which is the black community, which is the marginalized community. It's a I'm trying to figure out the best way to word it, but I struggle if I consider myself an anarchist or progress. I know I'm progressive. I know that I'm liberal, even though people say liberalism is bad. It's so fucking weird, and I'm trying to make sense of it all. But again, I'm all I know is that I'm on the left. I'm for the people, and I hate Trump and Nazis and ICE and all that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it can get like very heavy in the weeds, especially since like these terms get reassessed and all that. And yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. It's just like, well, I'm definitely on the left. I'm definitely anti-fascist, anti-capitalist, and yeah, what's going on is horrifying. And I mean, personally, if I had to pick like one glass, I think eco-socialist is probably the closest to like my personal views. But yeah, like there's some elements that are anarchist that I'm definitely for to. There's some elements that would be considered communist that I'm definitely for to. And there's all kinds of like intersections where it's like, well, what exactly is that? So I hear you.
That's what I mean. Like I feel like it's and hearing all these different terminologies, and just sections that people can be in, I feel like it just leads to more infighting over
It does.
which one is exactly right. And I'm not for that. We have to be on the same page, because we're seeing all these right wing Republicans, all these maggots. They while some are disjointed, they're still on the same page of what they want to do. So we need to be on the same page as leftists, because shit's about to go down in a really big way. It already is, and we need to do what we can. There's no room for impact. There's no room to be on the fence. There's no room to push out folks who are trying to actively help. We all need. There's always room at the table. There's always room on the front lines. We got to do what we can.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, especially right now. I mean, we even need, I think, like just the well-intentioned allies. Like we need the liberals and stuff like that. Like we need everybody. We need to be like, all right, we disagree on capitalism, but we agree that Nazis are bad. So let's just focus on that right now. And then we can argue about capitalism once that's taken care of.
And for me personally, in regards to capitalism, I am anti-capitalist, but I struggle because music is my full-time gig,
Mm-hmm.
and I struggle with the idea of, we're seeing how bad the economy is right now. We're seeing people struggle. We're seeing people try to find food just to feed their families, or just try to find money to pay rent. And then I feel guilty, and I'm trying to find ways to cope with it, of asking people, hey, buy a ticket for a show. Hey, buy a shirt online. Like it's so it's I don't want it. I don't like making people feel uncomfortable. Like that's always been like a big part of me. And with me doing it, I always feel guilty of just asking too much of people.
Yeah.
Or just and it's but TLDR, just shit's fucked right now. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm protected financially, but also make sure everybody else is doesn't feel obligated to buy anything, or like I'm pushing that on people.
No, I feel you. I mean, yeah, it's incredibly hard right now, and yeah, it's like one of those things. Like we all have to survive in this hellscape we find ourselves in, but yeah, it's just harder. I mean, I always try to tell people, like, I'm like, hey, please watch my movie, but you should do it on Tubi, because Tubi is free. It doesn't cost you anything. You do have to sit through the ads, but Tubi's free. So watch it there and then just enjoy the free entertainment, and I try to like if people are struggling, I try to, get them on the guest list, as much as I possibly can. And, but it's hard. Yeah, I feel you. It's really hard. Well, when did you start migrating to left politics? Like, did punk rock lead you to that, or was it all kind of simultaneous, or what's the origin story there?
I mean, the origin story there is I was born a black male in America, so leftist politics are always going to be a big part of me. Um, I feel I also my high school was all boys Catholic school, but also it was very looking back, a lot of it was very right was a very right right wing. Like a lot of kids there where I heard. Let me say this: I to go to a very Republican high school during um, the election of Barack Obama.
Hmm.
You will hear the wildest shit. It just imaginable, and calling an Obama nation, calling him a monkey. Or there's a table that there's a table where all the black kids sat at in my high school for lunch, and all the white kids would just decide to call it Little Africa. So this is kind of, yeah, that was the kind of shit that they would do at my high school. And when I came to college, I feel like that's when I kind of got more Afrocentric, getting more into who I am as a black male in America, because that was also when Trayvon Martin happened. I remember seeing the online rhetoric of he should be doing that. And that he was in the wrong part of town and that he deserved it. And and again, I'm in West Virginia, so and seeing Confederate flags a lot of different places. Again, also just hearing the N word thrown out by different rednecks around my area. And I remember in my college there was a I guess these black kids that came back from a party, they're all kind of rowdy and they're all kind of drunk too. And one of the RAs um, called in and said there's a riot of black folk outside right now and needs to be dealt with. And I think, from what I remember, like three black kids like that day got arrested, even though they weren't doing anything by just being loud, which is what college kids do. And that kind of contributed to it as well. And I I reached a point when I started Black Guy Fawkes where I want to write more about my experiences. So every single record I put out, I try to make sure I put in one song about my black as well as about my black experience as well. And because it's always been important for me. I've always been told just to be quiet about it or just to ignore it or just get over everything that happened, but I'm never going to. I've been on subjected to that, but also I've been subjected to where I've been tokenized by bands, by um, by friends, and I can't stand it. I'm not trying to act black or be somebody's token. I'm not trying to be. I don't want to get killed by cops. I don't want to get harassed by racist white folk or just quote unquote well intentioned folk. I just want to exist. I don't want any fucking harm done to me or my family or just for the record. This is a very hard subject for me to talk about. Because there's so many just overwhelming feelings when it comes to like me, leftist my leftist talks or just my blackness in general because they're both just so tied together. And I've dealt with a lot of recent experiences that it's really hard for me to kind of speak out about personally. And but again, they all just tie in together to some extent. But every single experience kind of made me who I am today. It made me comfortable with the fact that this is my passion. I'll own it, but I'm not gonna let this shit happen moving forward. So, and I try to apply that towards my music. So I try to just talk to folk at shows or just online about issues in the black community or just bring attention to stuff like that. I try to be a leader where I can and lead people into a right direction. I also just want to find more black folk in the scene, in the punk scene. And I have found some black folk that look like me and deal with the same thing. So I've found more community. Again, go back to community. I found more community working, finding them as well. But
Well, when you talk about being tokenized, especially like when you say it's happened by friends, like what exactly does that entail? Like, what are some examples of that?
basically, I've had friends say some very outlandish stuff, and well, granted, they're not friends anymore.
Hmm.
But they've said very outlandish stuff. They said racist jokes towards somebody, or they've said the hard R, or something like that. And they'll say the term, "Oh, it's okay. Ian's one of my friends. I'm not racist at all. He'll tell you." You don't get to you don't. I'm not there to defend you. That is not my point. And when it comes to tokenization, like outside of that too, it's the idea of being added to a bill or being added to a tour lineup or being added to a show not because of your talent, but because they just want just to show blackface, just to show blackface, and they know nothing about you. They just want to find ways to exploit that. That's what I'm not for. Like, yes, I am black, but also that's not just my whole identity. There's more to me. There's more substance than just my skin color. That's what I'm not for. And I when I think about the punk scene, it's such a refuge for anybody who does feel like they don't belong in society. And for me, being a black man, I never feel like I belong in society. And I feel like I feel like punk is just a refuge for anybody who is black, who's trans, who's queer, or anybody. Again, these known groups that are being harmed and targeted by the government and in society in general, they can find refuge in there because everybody just wants the same thing, just to dance and have a good time, and just not and without government control, just without any care in the world. And these people will protect you at the end of the day. And that's one thing. That's one thing. Like I personally just try to look for in my community too, where I see people are down for the cause and know that people are trying to actively just do good and work on themselves to do good.
No, I mean that's really that's really awesome. And for me, growing up as just a cis white guy who went to a Catholic school, all boys Catholic school as well, in Pittsburgh, so similar part of the country, similar experience. Punk rock taught me what being transgender meant. Punk rock taught me, to be a more accepting person. Punk rock taught me that racist jokes aren't funny. It's like punk rock really taught me all those lessons. And I don't think I was like completely ignorant. I mean, I was to some extent, like, right, like growing up, but I was definitely, sheltered, and punk rock really helped me shed a lot of that and just be, just be a more decent human. I hope. I try.
And that's one thing I tried to tell people, that I had a conversation recently with a friend when he said, "How can I be better?" And we had fun fact, we had a panel at Frank Turner's Law Stevens in Anaheim, which I was a part of, and I kind of said, it's something that I truly do stand by. I truly do stand by, and I'm trying to just relate to people a lot more. Being an ally and just allyship does not mean you hold just others accountable. That's one part of it, but that means you hold yourself accountable at the end of the day too. Of how can I do better? What am I doing that is causing harm that I can just that I can work on? I can say personally that while I do defend these communities today, there's some point in my life where I wasn't like that at all, where I will say offensive stuff, or while I do something vulgar, or and while I was thinking at the time actively causing harm. But I accept that part of myself, knowing, all right, that was my past. I can't change it, but I can do better. I'll work towards doing better, and that's all you can do. And yeah, that's always been a big part of just allyship, just also just activism too. Just keep pushing forward, hold yourself accountable, and hold others accountable too, and eventually others will hold themselves accountable and do this thing for other folks too. So, and there's always just intersections as well. So I know that while I'm black, I'm still also cis. I'm heterosexual, and I got to protect those communities and just make sure I don't do anything to harm the queer trans folk, do anything to harm women, or just make sure they are protected as well when I can.
So, talking about like just leftism in the punk community, I don't remember exactly what it said off the top of my head, but I saw a post that you made about punk in the park, and I made a post about that as well. So what's kind of your response to, kind of the right wing reactionary side of the punk movement?
What do you mean?
Well, like, what's your response? I mean, you see people like John Lyden's a huge Trumper now, and you kind of just see, like that sort of side of it. You saw the explanation from the Park and the Punk guy why he supported Trump, and I just wondered, your take on that.
Uh, so I don't un I have been trying to understand, how can you be involved in a scene that has been actively against right-wing politics and then come out and support Donald Trump, or just any of that in general. Like it's, and I put this in my post as well, like talking about that. But we need to just differentiate just punk as the culture, which is why I see when it comes to grassroots efforts, when it comes to protecting marginalized communities, when it comes to activism and liberation of just being yourself no matter what. We got to differentiate that between just putting punk in the name and just thinking that's going to shield you from all accountability, and just so you can profit off the name of just punk rock. Because and also you also have to think when it comes to, we can bring up punk in the park, but how long has this been going on for outside of what we found out? Because to use the word punk in the brand that you're promoting, and then to do these things behind the scenes where you're donating to the Trump campaign, you're just causing more damage than good. And I've seen a lot of stuff happen within the punk community within the last few years, and I just don't want to see this community that I love the most just continue to eat itself out, eat itself alive, because of these jackasses that are just using punk as a paycheck, basically. But yeah, as far as punk in the park goes, John Lydon can go fuck himself completely. How like. I struggle. I don't get it. It gives me headaches every single day. Like it's just so much caucasity, and I'm just so goddamn confused all the time.
No, I'm confused by it too. I don't know how you can listen to this music and listen to the messages and then come away with MAGA's the way to go. It doesn't make any sense to me. But somehow. And maybe this isn't the best example right now, considering their response to Punk in the Park. Although the song was written by Jello, but Nazi punks fuck off. They weren't singing about someone imaginary. They were singing about Nazi punks because it was a thing. So,
So I there's like two moments I think about a lot. There's one where, well, it happened continuously, but so my area is full of like cover bands. And my area is also 70% Republican. Like most of this area did vote for Trump. Nothing is more ironic than seeing these cover bands cover Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine.
Paul Ryan's favorite band.
I went to see Rage in DC when they had the reunion. I saw like 10 MAGA hats there. And I'm like, how? Y'all don't understand reading comprehension, let alone irony at this point. So, and then I saw somebody in my area who definitely did, who I know voted for Trump. They're on a boat with friends, and I just saw a video of them where they're all just rapping King Kunta by Kendrick Lamar and like Fuck the Police by NWA. I'm like, you all don't understand how ironic and how ridiculous this is. Like, these songs are about you. Please just stop. It's I'm not sure, but I feel like that goes towards like willful ignorance and just cognitive dissonance, because either they're just really just unaware of what they're doing, or they are aware but they just really don't care at the end of the day. And it's again, it's just frustrating. Not in political sense, but also just like a mental sense too. Like just trying to wrap your head around what is going on, so you don't have a stroke.
Well, how can we flip them to our side? That's a big question. How do we flip them to our side?
I think that this. I'm not the authority. I'll preface saying I'm not the authority on all that's punk and all that's leftist, but I fully believe that we have to be open to those who want to try to learn and do better. Those who are asking the genuine questions. Not those who are just arguing for the sake of argument, but those who are trying to make sense and understand what they're doing is wrong, or just trying to be better. We can't. So I talked to my friend April Hartman from Apes of the State about this, and it's just the idea of when somebody does something wrong, like either vote for Trump or just make a very blatant mistake or do something very controversial. We have to give them that room to grow and held accountable. And then once they hold themselves accountable, once they start their active healing, that's when we can just let them back in the community. But if we just push them out and just say "fuck you," that goes for somebody who voted for Trump or somebody who does something vile. If we just push them out saying "no, fuck you, you're gone," that all that does is just push them into a different community where they can cause harm, and it'll just make them double down on their actions or just their stances and beliefs, and we can't afford that to happen. I personally believe that there is room at the table for everybody, and we have to allow that room. And sometimes, and also we have to learn too, like we can't save everybody. We can talk to those who want to learn, but those who don't, we don't have to engage with them. We don't have to feed into the comment sections online. We don't have to just keep debating. We have to give them that space for them to grow into their own, saying, you know what, I messed up, and just come to that realization. And it's easier said than done, because some of those people can be family members, some of those people can be lifelong friends, but that's the way it'll have to be. It can be some tough love, but it doesn't have to be tough and hurtful all the time. In every case, it's different. It's different as well, but
yeah. Yeah, shout out to Apes of the State, by the way. They're great. I love
April so much.
Yeah, what they do is so cool, and they're kind of holding it down in the kind of similar part of the country. They're in Lancaster, right? Lancaster,
yeah.
PA. Yeah, I used to play. There used to be I don't know if it's still there, but there used to be a cool comedy club there that I would play like twice a year. But I don't know if it's still there or not. But anyway, in closing, so where can people go to learn more about you, find out if you're coming to a city near them? Plug away.
So I got a new record out. I put out September, well, new-ish, called The Misery Suite. You can check it out everywhere on Specialist Records. I'm going to be touring this year. In April, I'll be touring with the Jackknives and Rudy Nuno. We're doing the East Coast. No, not East Coast. Jesus Christ. We're doing a West Coast tour in California. I'm also going to be hitting Pacific Northwest with my friend Augie Birch. Then right after that, I head out on a month-long tour with Lori Jane Grace and Lung. We're pretty much just hitting East Coast, down South, and Midwest. I'll be doing my favorite festival of all time, Camp Pennsylvania. It's going to be myself will be there, OBGMs, Body Count, Pup, Saves, Face to Face. It's going to be an incredible time. Tickets are on sale for all this stuff right now. And I'll be in the caverns of Grundy County, Tennessee with Murder by Death and Larry and His Flask this September on Labor Day. So that's all that's coming up right now. Tickets are on sale for everything. Get yours today. And yeah, that's all I got.
Ian, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate you. Hope I didn't ramble way too much, but
that was Black Guy Fawkes. Check out all of his stuff. See if he's coming to a city near you. He is on tour now. Music for the 1000 Podcast is provided by Andrew Saxon. Be sure to check out his podcast, the Baywatching Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Please do write us a review. Leave us a 5-star. Tell your friends. Make sure you're subscribed. Everything just kind of helps get the word out about this, and we really, really appreciate it a whole lot. And if you want to support the show on the sustainability end, you can do so over at patreon.com/Ron Placone. For a Give What You Can level, you become part of a really cool community. We do a Zoom hangout once a month. You also get the 1,000 episodes before they're released to the public, and you get insider information on upcoming films and events, and you get full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. That's all for a Give What You Can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. All right, 135. We're pushing close to another decade. We're midway through another decade. And then once we're there, we're exactly 15 episodes away from the round 150. which, again, it's just so wild. I feel like this show's only been around for a month or so, and it's it's going on a couple years already. You feel the time, and you feel how fast it really goes. But what a ride it's been so far, and we're just getting started. Catch you next week. Peace.